from Philippine colonial rule, you see. So, I wrote like that. Then, in the first week of June, after several months of intense fighting, this General Fortunato Abad, the defender of the SEMCOM, went on air. And I was listening to the broadcast. He said, I'm asking something like, I'm asking you not to leave Mindanao, telling the refugees. Because hundreds of thousands, if not millions, were moving out from there. Among the immigrants, they were leaving. But at any rate, look for your own safety. Because I'd like to assure you that sooner or later we'll be able to put things under our control. That was his optimistic statement. At the moment, I would like to admit that we have lost Tawi-Tawi, Sulu, and Basilan. We maintain only a small camp there, and the MNLF refused to overrun them. I don't know why. You see? Because they just wanted to keep them, you know, to stretch out their forces. We're trying to invite forces more to Sulu, to Tawi-Tawi and Basilan, so that, you know, they could not concentrate in Mindanao. That was our strategic position there. I said, invite them. Don't finish them off. You see? Give them the temptation to send more forces, then you cut them down to size there. That was my instruction to all my commanders. But I said, I'll take care of destroying them here, together with our commanding general, the late Commander Basak, and we have wonderful number of good quality commanders in the battlefield. They were trained abroad in military.
I mean, how did they train? They were like Malaysia and elsewhere. They would go.
Well, I cannot name names, but they were trained in among the best guerrilla warfare schools in the world. They were trained. You see?
And how did they feel? You know, head to head with the government troops? Did they feel like they could hold their ground or prevail? I mean, it sounds like you raised quite an army that did very well against an organized government force. I mean, that's.
Well, you see, I am not underestimating them. Man to man, they are not a match to us. That's impossible. They cannot. Usually, we are undermanned. A small group of 5 or 10 can fight against one whole company. Sometimes even the late general, before he died, in the hands of our fighters, the late General Teodoro Bautista, he was the most experienced warrior in the entire armed forces of the Philippines, because he saw service during the Camden War. You know, Camden War in Sulu preceded us by several years. He fought against the Philippine government for a decade or so. And he was the one who destroyed the entire Ninita unit. The Ninita unit saw battle in Korea, you know, during the Korean War in 1953, like that. They fought there, and when they returned back, they were pronounced as heroes. Because according to information, I don't know, the Philippine forces were recognized, were awarded with a second place to Turkey as the bravest fighters among the 17 countries that joined the Korean War. The Americans were only third place, poor third.
Wow.
The Filipinos were. Why? Because there were Moros who were with them. Brave Moros who fought with them, like that. Now, when they returned back, the Philippine government made a mistake of assigning them in Sulu. And with that bravado, they said, oh, no problem, we finished them off. Because they are veterans, Korean veterans. So when they were there, we finished them off. Oh, we annihilated, our people annihilated them almost to the last man. Very few survived. The Ninita unit, yes. That was a foretaste of what's going to happen. Now, with respect to our war with, you can ask them, they will tell you. They'll not be ashamed to tell you. They are not a match to us. They have all the superiority of armaments. But in terms of actual combat.
And what explains that? What explains the superiority of?
Well, because we have always been here for the last half a millennium now. As I used to say, our children, even while they are still in the wombs of their mothers, they are already trained to move in the to undergo a hard life, to go through an ordeal even inside the wombs of their mothers. See, because our life has been always a life of we have always been in a state of war with some countries in the world who tried to aggress on us. In fact, I used to come up with a thesis. I said while Clausewitz, the German
Sure.
military thinker, used to say that war is just an extension of politics. I said, no, in our case, we are an exception. Politics is just an exception of war, because for the last half a millennium of our life, our existence in this world, we have always been in a state of war. Remember, we fought against Spain for 377 years. Of course, these are intermittent war. Then we fought the Americans for over 40 years. In between, we fought against the British, we fought against the Dutch. But the Dutch, they just came to shell our homeland from their neighborhoods and fled. The British were able to massacre them in some place and they did not return. There were some Frenchmen that tried to, look into the possibility of the people hit them from behind. I was so sorry. I said, why from behind? It was just a Kerner, I understand. But after that, we fought against the Japanese. After General MacArthur had fled, after the defeat, Hursa defeat in Bataan and Corridor, Japanese decided to attack us. And according to a Japanese book, reconstruction of their experiences in the Pacific War, because somebody, a Muslim, Japanese Muslim, who used to work with Sumitomo, the director of their office in the Middle East, told me, a certain Ahmad Suzuki, Brother Nur, he's a convert to Islam. His father became a Muslim because he was a Japanese guerrilla, a Japanese fighter in Indonesia, and he became Muslim. He survived. And then he gave birth to this man who later on decided to study at the Al-Azhar University and got married to one of our sisters from Holo.
Wow.
And then one day he told me, I just came across one book produced by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, a reconstruction of their experiences in the Pacific. In that book there was a red color, I read I don't know something, and then there was a footnote below, and it said it was here in this, a map. It was here we would lost the biggest casualties during the war in the Pacific. That was Mindanao.
Wow.
Yes, the Japanese. You can make inquiries from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, because he told me so. You see, Ahmad Suzuki is his name. I think he has retired from Sumitomo. Now, we have always in this, you see, in this kind of this life. So I said Clausewitz is correct in saying, by and large, that is the nature of war. War is just an extension of politics, but in our case, no. Maybe there will be transmutation, a transformation in this thesis once we, shift to politics, this negotiation, I like that, as a way of resolving the problem. Maybe we can reverse that. But while we are still in the state of war with the Philippine government, I think we have no reason to, to change our view that our life for the last half a millennium has been one of war and war and war and more war. So to us and to me, and maybe some of my commanders who used to listen to my briefing, I said, we believe that war is the beginning of our life here. You see, and politics is just an extension of negotiation is politics. Peace negotiation is politics. We have not been governing ourselves for so many years, for many decades, and even for centuries. People love to come and impose their will on us. So we have to fight and fight and fight like that.
Did the Muslims in Mindanao ever feel Filipino? I mean, if you ask them to express an identity, would they say Filipino or?
Before they said no. They are foreigners, because of this continuing propaganda and because of the obligations when they write, etc., etc. Now, a great many of them now, they now identify themselves as Filipinos. But before, yes, it's many of them. But at the same time, they identify themselves as Bangsamoro, or Moros. They are proud of that. They are very, very proud of that. Because we are a separate nation. In fact, some Filipino leaders used to say, Philippines is a nation with is a country with two nations, Filipinos and.
Well, given that they identify as Bangsamoro, not so much Philippines, and identify as a separate nation, what are the chances of them ever being satisfied with autonomy? Is autonomy something that can endure, or is it just a way station on the way to independence? I know that's a question everyone may ask. Is autonomy viable, I guess?
But it's very difficult to answer, but I think I can give you some clues about
How do the people feel? I mean,
yes. You know, there are times when it's not the man that decides, it's the situation that decides for him. And this is probably our situation now. If I have my way, I want autonomy. As the leader of my people, I want autonomy. I want to continue our connection with the Filipino nation, but only on the basis of what I call egalitarian democratic system. If they continue to look down on us as it were a third citizen, a third-class citizen, certainly we say no. And that could be an impetus for us to separate from them. We don't like to be treated as if we are inferior creation of God. No. We want to be treated as the equal of anybody in the world. You see? So our people are very proud people. You see? They don't like to be told that they are an inferior human being or like that. Or Bangsamoro as an inferior nation. No, we don't like. So if they want to treat us like that, because we are also concerned with our Balik Islam brothers and sisters. They used to come to my residence and to tell me, Brother Nur, please don't leave this country. Stay put with this country. You see, if you leave, what will happen to us? Don't abandon us. I said, no, we'll not. But the problem is that there are times when it's not you, it's not the man that decides, it's not human being, it's the situation. You see, there's somebody who said, a Frenchman, a French philosopher, I think, or thinker, the author of this book, a popular book they call Les Miserables. I forgot, I used to mention his name, and he said, an idea whose time has come is more powerful than the entire armed forces of a nation, and so forth and so forth. Now in our case, yes, we do agree with that, but at the same time, that's not the only way to put it. I think I used to tell myself, maybe a situation that has, whose time has come, could be more powerful than anything else in this world. You can be swept off your feet. Even myself, I used to say, oh yes, I'm the one more or less in charge of, crafting the ideological part of our struggle. But sometimes I feel helpless when a new situation, just suddenly comes to the fore. Suddenly you have to just react and act in accordance with the dictate of the situation. So I said, maybe we can rephrase that. A situation whose time has come is more powerful than any armed forces in the world. You see? Now the situation is like that now. Why? Because Philippine government just does not know how to solve the problem. You just want to provoke us to fight and fight. That's why even the OIC has issued a statement in the resolution, formal statement in a resolution, formal resolution, in one of their meetings, annual meetings. I remember they said, according to the observation, Philippine government is interested only in a fait accompli solution, meaning they're all interested in a military solution. They think that they can destroy us. No. To no avail. They cannot do that. I told them, in the beginning of a war in Jolo, there was a certain Commodore Fernandez. I think I remember having told you about this man. He was the head of the Southcom or Sowiscom first, based in Zamboanga. When there was this first sign of hostility between us and the Philippine government, because some military forces, shut down some people who are harvesting their in particular, harvesting their coconut plantation, these coffee plantations, civilians. Then later on, the next day, they moved on to Panamao, encircled the mosque. It was Friday. People were praying and they disturbed the prayers, like that. And then, our people decided to, arm themselves. This man decided to launch war against them. And then there was a congressman from Sulu, Congressman Ututalum. His name was Congressman Saleh Ututalum. He was a former educator, superintendent of school, and then he became governor of Sulu. When he heard about the plan to launch this war against our people in Jolo, the good congressman decided to ask this Commodore Fernandez to his residence, I think in Jolo, and asked him. I heard, said and told him, I heard that you are preparing for war. He said, that's true. When? How soon? Next few days. Now I want to know, do you know the culture of these people here? Do you know our history? Yes, I do.